Inter Miami versus Porto Club World Cup. Let's get into it. All right, it's great switch of play here from the midfield. He takes it from the left side of the pitch, sees the runner all the way to the right, plays it on over here. Great first touch into space. We know the build up here. I'm going to spoil it a bit. The build up here is that it eventually leads to the penalty to the Porto player, but it starts from this moment. If we could draw lines, the ball is kind of like, 40% closer to the Porto player, 60% to the Miami player. And in this moment, you have to make the call. If you're a defender, if it's 50-50, if you're confident, you can make the dive in. If you don't even have the 50-50, the distance in your favor, I would always jockey back. All right. Because in this moment, the ball is still more in control with the Porto player. Again, now it's 50-50, but the Miami player is a little bit more off balance now because he's kind of committed, but he's not really sure which way to commit because, most of the time, right-footed players on the right wing would just drive down to the right, use the space and cross. That's what most of the time right-footed players would do. But the Porto player now is unpredictable. He goes inside, and then that's it. The loss of balance and the unpredictability from the Porto player, when it's a foul, obviously there's the protests. But now we can see in a little bit more close up. At this point, when he's lost balance, the studs of the Miami player has already hit the top of the boot of the Porto player, and naturally he's gonna win the foul. He falls in. Again, we can see frame by frame. I love this. You can see in the exact moment where it happens, where the Miami player has lost it. From here, you know, Porto player takes a touch inside, and that's it. And the foot has already swung out and that's it. When you're stretching out as a defender, you're trying to go for the ball, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna either give away the foul or you're gonna sell yourself, you're gonna get beaten. In this case, both of those things happened. He got beaten. I guess rule of thumb at penalties, always choose one side and then go for it. Do not change your mind at the last spot. Keeper has a good read, you can see the tendency of like more powerful strikers who would just want to whip it onto the opposite side, and that's what exactly number nine has done over here. He takes a stutter, waits for it, and then direction-wise, it's still in keeper, and that's enough. All right, next build-up play from Porto, stretched out to the left, good run, cuts back, great use of the ball, inner lap. We've seen the outer laps done traditionally. Inner laps are a little bit more, I would say, modern, but pro level footballers do this all the time. He calls for it over here. He stretches out two Miami players, gets it, he sees it up. All right, in this moment, I believe he's left-footed. He's just gonna get the ball in, get into the box, and the great thing he does is he puts it on the ground. On the ground, makes it very difficult. Big striker holds it up, does the flick on. This is really nice. But before we get there, let's just take a look at where the Miami players are. No one is on the second player. Everyone's got dragged into the inner lap and to the striker. No one is on this player sitting on the edge of the box over here. Striker does a flick on. All right, he's already run past the ball, so it's a little unlucky if he was slightly behind or if the ball is in front of him. That's a free tap in, free goal. Porto would win this game, but nevertheless, he shows great recovery over here. Let's see, he puts his body between himself and the defender. This is great stuff. All right, he uses his moment. Defender flies away, takes a great touch, and then from here takes another touch. I would argue in this moment he's already gone too many touches. Probably should have just swung it, toe poked it, get a shot in quicker. Nevertheless, he finds his feet and just shoots it. Well, it's pretty central. You can see the Miami defender is in the center of the goal, hits him straight in the head. That's great defending. But otherwise, there were many other moments where he could have scored. Nevertheless, it's a good passage of play. You can see his teammate, the Porto teammate, is calling for the ball over here. So when you play it back, at this moment, if he knows if he's going to take another touch, and there's a recovering Miami defender, I would say there's an equal case to play it off over here, in which hopefully this Porto player would have buried it this far out. It gets a bit harder to bury it when you're further from the goal. Sometimes you have tunnel vision when you're too close to goal as well. So, you got to take your chances, I suppose. We'll let this play out again. Great defending. This one, not a good passage of play. It gets cut off, but this right back over here, he gets pressured from the Porto player. He invites the pressure. He brings the Porto player in. He's really, really cool over here. Most centre backs would lay it off, but the centre back decides to do a nice little fake, buys himself some space. Just the higher level bits of composure, to get yourself out of trouble, and to just relax a little bit. These are little things that can help you level up your game as well. We will say this Porto player was kind of running in for the foul already. All right, but let's focus on the build-up. We have the midfielder over here. We have the winger on the right. Now, I feel this is where it all breaks down for Porto. Number 10 at this moment, he has to do something right now. Either he commits to the ball, allowing his fullback to cover the Miami player overlapping, or sucks it up and then he makes the run to follow the overlapping Miami player. He does none of that in this moment, and that eventually costs them the goal. So as you can see, play on, play on, play on. And now this fullback who was jockeying is just too far from the ball to cover anything. The overlapping fullback from Miami, he has time. He's going to whip it in. And that the positioning of his whip in also very good. Basically, as a fullback, you're told to get it inside anywhere in the penalty area for your forwards to attack it. And then from here, it's just half volley finish, takes a bounce, good finish, top corner. We're now going to see the goal from Messi that wins them the game. Now, we'll let it play out first. What he does really well, I think he catches everyone from Porto off guard over here. The wall is here. The wall is on the right of the goal. Keeper's on the left. Most people, and in fact, most of the time, I think would bend the ball over the wall into the right side of the goal. He does not do that here. He goes in the completely opposite direction, and that is what catches. He's about to kick it. He takes it. Keeper is already, he has made the shuffle from left to right. And by the time the ball's in the air, he's committed in the wrong way. His weight is shifted on his right foot. And then you could argue, yeah, probably he could have recovered better, but by then, this element of surprise is what eventually catches him off guard. And Messi just needs to hit the target and it's all the way in. Still a great free kick. Take nothing away from that as well. From this angle, again, you think he's going to go around, all the way around the wall, but he doesn't. He catches everyone off guard, hits the side netting, just like how I explained with the penalty. You don't save those.